I wish I could say it was an accident, that I slipped, that I tripped, that I had no idea what I was doing when my lips met his. But the truth? I knew. I knew exactly what I was doing when I leaned in, when I laughed too hard at his joke, when I held that eye contact a little too long over the grill flames. He was my husband's younger brother, for God's sake. And yet, I kissed him. In the side yard, behind the shed, while everyone was inside singing "Happy Birthday" to my father-in-law. I kissed Clayton first, just once. But the second time was not an accident. The second time was a choice. And it was that choice that burned everything I thought I had with Jim right to the ground. I have to look both of them in the eyes every Sunday like nothing ever happened. I am scared one day Clayton will speak. But what terrifies me more is that he never will. Before I continue this story, I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Your support means the world to me. And to all our new and returning viewers who are yet to hit that subscribe button, please do so right now. It is the fuel that keeps this channel alive and growing. Also, do not forget to engage in the comments below. I would love to know what you think as the story unfolds. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. Michigan. Summer. A backyard full of family. And a moment I will regret for the rest of my life. My name is Doris. I live in Michigan with my husband, Jim. We have been married for 8 years. Strong years. Or so I thought. Jim is dependable, responsible, quiet, the kind of man who handles the grill and the finances with the same calm hand. He never yells, never cheats, never wavers. His younger brother, Clayton, on the other hand, is different, a little reckless, a little wild. The kind of man who shows up late to family dinners and still manages to charm everyone with one smile, including me. That Saturday was supposed to be simple. A barbecue at Lena's house, Jim and Clayton's mother. Everyone was there. Cousins, Aunt Bev, neighbors. We had ribs, music, a cooler filled with beer, and no idea how quickly everything was about to shift. It started small. Clayton joking with me about my grilling skills. Me pretending to be offended. We played like kids teasing each other. He reached around to grab the tongs from my hands, and I felt it. Too much closeness. I should have pulled away. But I did not. Later, I walked out behind the shed to take a phone call. Clayton followed. He said he came out to check on me, but I think we both knew better. We stood there for a few seconds, just breathing. His eyes locked with mine. Then it happened. One kiss. Fast. Hot. Terrifying. And yet, it sent a shiver down my spine that I had not felt in years. He pulled back first. Whispered, "I am sorry. I do not know why I did that." I shook my head and ran back inside. I should have left it there. Buried it with the charcoal ashes and never let it resurface. But that night, after Jim fell asleep beside me, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Clayton. "We need to talk. I should not have kissed you, but I want again." I stared at those words until the screen went dark. And in my gut, I knew this story was only just beginning. I told myself I was going to shut it down. I even rehearsed what I would say, how the kiss was wrong, how we were family, how it could never happen again. But when I saw Clayton the next day, all that preparation dissolved like sugar in water. We met at a local coffee shop just outside of town. Neutral place. Public space. Safe, I thought. I wore sunglasses like I was hiding from the truth itself. I arrived early. He arrived late. Typical Clayton. He looked nervous, which only made me more anxious. "I just wanted to clear the air," he said. I have not stopped thinking about it. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out, because neither had I. Every time Jim kissed me goodnight, all I could think about was how it felt to be kissed like I had not been kissed in years. By someone else. I felt something Clayton said. Tell me I imagined it. I should have. I should have lied. But I said, you did not imagine it. And that was it. That was the moment the door swung open. That Friday, I told Jim I was heading out to a women's retreat with a few girls from work. He barely looked up from his laptop and told me to drive safe. But I did not go to any retreat. I went to a cabin in Traverse City. Clayton said it was a group trip, casual, just friends. But there were no friends, just us. And the silence between us spoke louder than anything we said out loud. I thought we would sit on opposite sides of the living room and talk about how we could not do this. Instead, we cooked dinner. We danced to music from his phone. And we crossed every line we both swore we would not. Nothing graphic happened, but the emotional weight, the way he looked at me like I was the only woman on earth, it felt like a drug. Saturday morning, I woke up in that cabin feeling sick, not from guilt, but from the terrifying realization that I did not want to leave. But I had to. By Sunday morning, I was back home, back in Jim's arms, back in Lena's kitchen, back at church like nothing happened. But everything had changed. I had changed. The sermon that day was about forgiveness. I could barely sit through it. I clutched Jim's hand and stared straight ahead. But I could feel Clayton's eyes on the back of my neck. When service ended, Lena called out across the crowd, "Family meeting next week, everyone. I am planning a big dinner. Sunday afternoon. I want all my boys there. Bring Doris, of course." I nodded and smiled, my stomach in knots. I had barely survived this one Sunday. And now I had to do it all over again next week. I used to love Sundays. The smell of Lena's pot roast. The sound of Jim humming while tying his tie. Church pews filled with familiar faces. Peaceful routines. I used to feel safe inside. Now, Sundays feel like punishment. The Sunday after the cabin, I sat between Jim and Lena in the family pew. Clayton sat on the end, 3 bodies down, but his presence pressed against my skin like heat. I could feel his stare even when I kept my head down. Jim leaned over halfway through service and kissed the top of my hand. I wanted to cry. Not because of love, but because I had broken something pure with the dirtiness of a secret I could not take back. Later at the family dinner, everyone laughed around the table. Clayton barely said a word. I avoided looking at him, but it did not matter. The silence between us was loud. I caught Lena eyeing me once, like she sensed something was off. I smiled too big to cover it. By dessert, I was unraveling. Jim took my plate and said, "You okay, babe?" "I am fine," I whispered. I was not. That night, I stood in the shower longer than usual. I let the water beat down like it could scrub the guilt from my skin. When I stepped out, I saw a message waiting on my phone. "Clayton again. I know you feel it too. Just talk to me. One last time. Please." I turned off the screen and tossed it on the counter. But I could not stop shaking. The next morning, I drove to a nearby park and sat in my car for nearly an hour. I was not there to see Clayton. I was not there to run. I just needed to breathe. That was when I realized something no one ever tells you about betrayal. It does not just destroy the people around you. It eats you alive from the inside out. That week, I found the courage to do one thing right. I told a therapist everything. Every word. Every touch. Every lie. And when I finished, I sat in silence, waiting for judgment. But she just asked me, "What are you going to do now, Doris?" I looked at her, tears streaming down my face, and said, "I am going to learn to live with the truth, even if no one else ever knows it. Because sometimes the real punishment is not getting caught. It is living with the weight of your choices. Every single Sunday. I wish I had stopped at that first kiss. I wish I had never answered that message. I wish I had remembered what was at stake before it was too late. If you are watching this and thinking about stepping over a line, just know that once you do, you can never step back. Please drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know what you would have done if you were in my shoes. Would you confess? Would you walk away? Or would you carry it forever in silence? Do not forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep telling real, raw stories like this one. Thank you for watching. And remember, some secrets do not stay buried. Not forever.